Welcome to episode 3 of our Philco 1203. It's actually a 46 1203. And what we're going to do in this episode is focus on the turntable. This turntable had an old A-static cartridge in it. It was an A-static 807, which obviously is no good. So we have to make some decisions about how we're going to fix it. The original cartridge, I actually watched a video by Buzz1151, who actually repaired the same exact turntable. And he took his cartridge apart, and I did the same thing, and I just wanted to see what was in it, and it was all dried out. So I've cleaned it out, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet. I may replace it with a ceramic. It's a Fein Steel 51-3. I found one of those for $10 on eBay, and I ordered it. And it just basically fits right in here with the 2 screws, and I don't have to deal with it. Or, I did order a couple of the piezos, the really small piezos, the 15mm ones on Amazon. They were $4.99, $4.99, and they'll be here tomorrow. So we're going to try both. I think Buzz did the same thing. He created a couple of different things to try. So I think the ceramic one is going to be the one that we try. And we're going to go from there. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this whole thing apart. We're going to take the tone arm off. We're going to take the platter off. Now I know for a fact when you take this platter off, there's I think 13 ball bearings that come flying out with it. So we're going to be really careful with that. We're going to clean the entire deck. I've already cleaned just this portion, and you can see just how dirty it is. And I used just a simple cleaner and a little bit of this Nox-On just to polish it up. So you could see that we actually do really well here. So we'll clean the tone arm. And the platter we'll take off and clean it, and the flocking on the platter looks really good. And then I did power it up just to check it and make sure that the motor works, and the motor does work. So we're going to take this motor off as well right here, and we're going to lubricate it and test it. It's an AC motor, so really simple. Just connect it to 120 volts and you're good to go. And then we're going to check everything else under here and lubricate it and get things where it needs to be. So that's the plan. So I'm going to start taking this thing apart. And when the cartridge gets here, obviously, we'll put that in. So let me start the disassembly process, and then we'll show you where we are. Be back. Well, here's the 11 ball bearings that fall out of here. So when you loosen the screw underneath, and you lift the platter up, these things go flying. So I've counted 11. We'll find out when we put them back in. And obviously what we're going to do is put some lithium grease in here, and that'll hold them in place. So that's it. So make sure you don't lose the ball bearings. That wouldn't be good. We also have the tone arm off. It's right here. And the only thing that really holds it in is this one screw. And there's a pin on this side which goes into a slot right here. And then this pin tightens it up on the other side, and that's what keeps it. And then this is a rotating mechanism. So this comes off. You can clean it, put the cartridge in. And all you have to do is remove the clips that hold this this shielded wire to the tone arm. They look like this, and they mount to these posts right here. I'm going to take off the motor here, and it looks like it's these 3 screws, and here's the spindle, and here's the rubber idler wheel, which actually feels like it's a good shape. I don't see any flat spots on it, which is good. It looks like we've got a screw, a lock washer, a washer. That looks like a rubber grommet. We're not going to take that off. So be really careful. We don't want to break any screws here. Screw, lock washer, and a washer. That's good. And by the way, this motor has a lot of play in it, by the way. So if you notice yours is very, very flexible and loose, it's designed to do that. It's not supposed to be tight. Let's see what we have here. Does that motor drop out? Cool. Looks like it drops right out. And it looks like there's spacers as well on these bolts. There's 3 of them. And here's our motor. Let's flip it over. And we've got a little standoff tie down here. Okay, here's our motor right here. We're going to put this down. Move this aside for a moment. Let's take a close look at our motor here. Okay, here's our motor assembly. So as I said, there's these 3 standoffs right here, like that. We take those off, and there's a metal plate that comes off. There's our motor. It actually moves pretty freely. So what we're going to do is we're going to test it. It's an AC motor, 115 volts probably. But we're going to put a power cord on it. We're going to throw it on our variac, make sure it runs smoothly. We're just going to lubricate it and oil it. And I think it's going to be okay. So let me grab a power cord and we'll try that. Okay, we have our motor connected to the variac. We're going to put the power on. Power's on. Let's go up slowly. She's running. Nice and quiet too. Needs a bit of a little bit of oil. Let's go up to 120. Right there. Pretty smooth. Definitely needs to be lubricated though. Alright, let's power it down. Cool. So we just have to lubricate our motor up, clean it, and we're able to put it back in the box. Excellent. Alright, be back. Okay, we've got our motor all cleaned and put back together. And everything's been oiled, lubed, cleaned. Little WD-40 inside these bushings, and then a little 3-in-1 oil just to keep them, lubricated properly. We put everything back together. We're going to do a first test. So we go on the variac. 60. $120. That motor's really quiet. Running very smoothly now. Pretty good. We want to make sure that the propeller that we put on is flowing air in the right direction. We want it this way to keep the motor cool. And the air is definitely going in this direction. Alright, cool. Motor's done. Let's see what's next. And the last test here is I want to put the motor in the direction it's actually going to be facing in the player. So it's downward, right? This mounts underneath the platter. So I want to make sure it's nice and smooth and quiet this way, so we're good to go.
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
So here's our turntable. First time this thing's been playing in many years, I imagine. The song that you're listening to is called Yesterdays by a group called the Squadronaires based out of London. And the saxophone and clarinet player that you hear in the song was actually the father of Pete Townsend from The Who. His name is Cliff Townsend. And we have to do a little tracking adjustment on this thing. But you can hear it. It sounds great.
It would still be paradise if you were just half at night. 'Cause
Alright, so we're going to continue making our adjustments and get this thing buttoned up, but it works. That's great. We have a 78 needle on there, a new 78 needle. It's a File Steel 51-03, or -3, I'm sorry. Alright, we'll be back.